Hello there.
Hi, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Doing well.
So, what are we going to do today, Miss Michelle?
We are going to talk about our intuition, not just our intuition, because that's a huge topic, but basically some of the benefits of having intuition, some practices that will help encourage our access to our intuition, and maybe some of what can block us from using and tapping into our intuition.
Right. And first of all, may I mention that we're all intuitive.
Absolutely. We're born with it.
You're born with it. Just like, we may have noticed animals have their animal instincts. We all have our instincts as well. But so many clients that may have come to me had say, well, I don't know if I'm intuitive. I don't know if I have that. And we all do have our intuition.
Mhm.
We have a little inner child in there that's willing to let us know when things are good or things are, acceptable to us or not acceptable to us by the way that we feel with our emotions.
Mm-hmm. So I find that I have a lot of people that come into the Violet Butterfly saying that they're not psychic,
Mm-hmm.
right? So there's a certain, and I know how you feel about labels, and I'm
okay,
but like psychic and intuitive are hand in hand.
So I love that that segue into the conversation because I believe that our intuition is like the pathway to access all of this energy work, whether you label yourself as a psychic or as a medium. There are different levels and degrees of your intuition that you're accessing.
So it may be entirely possible that not everybody is a medium, but everybody is intuitive and everyone is psychic.
Correct. But they can enhance that ability by recognizing it and noticing it and encouraging it.
Right. So I want to talk about like some of the things that can block our intuition just right off. Let's get those out of the way. And I know this is a low vibration kind of word, a blockage. We've had quite the conversation this morning.
I always try and keep it on the higher level, but we do need to understand.
Yeah, you have to understand.
Okay.
So sometimes children aren't nurtured with their intuition because parents don't really understand what is really happening with the child.
Well, they're always told no.
Exactly. So you may notice that a child has an imaginary friend. This could be like that whole, they're a medium, or they talk to somebody that, the parent can't see. It doesn't mean that no one is there and they're not talking to a real energetic being.
Well, I'm sure that this is a possibility. I guess what comes to me with that conversation is that, whether you suppress your intuition, it will come out sooner or later in some fashion.
It does. I have a couple of different customers here in the shop that have decided to re-engage with some of their abilities because when they were younger, something happened and they slammed the doors closed. Like they were scared.
They're told it was bad. There's different beliefs and, that they're brought up with. They said, oh, don't do that. It's bad. Well, your intuition is what's natural to you, and it's definitely good, and it makes you feel more balanced. And of course, using it in a nice way with energy, there's always positive and negative. You keep your thoughts positive and you keep your intentions positive with it. And intention is, I would say, one of the biggest things that you can do to set an intention to enhance your intuition.
Absolutely. So one other thing that might actually block us from our accessing our intuition is our lack of faith or trust in our intuition.
We have to build that.
Absolutely. And usually it's, unfortunately, by contrast.
All right. So how many of you have like, let's just say you were going to purchase something or do something and your gut instinct says, oh, I want to go over to the right and do it this way, or, I want this thing. And then your your brain is saying, well, it could be this, it could be that. You second guess yourself and you go with something else. And in hindsight, afterwards, you're like, if I had only listened to my gut, it would have worked out better.
Yep.
So you got to take note of it.
Yes.
I'm not saying you blindly do everything, but take note of it and really listen to it and stop second guessing yourself to the point where you have analysis paralysis.
Well, and I'm going to go back to like, how does that feel? Like, how does it feel when your intuition is guiding you somewhere?
Well, everybody's going to be a little bit different. So I would implore you to play with it a little bit. So you can do this. Anybody can do it. You sit down, and when I say ground yourself, put your feet on the floor and take a good deep breath with the intention of, of your highest good helping you to do that. And ask yourself or your intuition to show you what a yes looks like, what it feels like. And then ask it to show it what a no looks like. And you're totally like doing this. And of course you're going to say, well, it's just my mind playing tricks on me. Just go with it for the sake of the example. Okay. And then as you go out your day or throughout your day, little tiny things that are not significant. Well, should I have coffee or tea? And see what your intuition is telling you. Play with this for a month on little things, and then you'll start to develop that language to have that knowing of what it feels like to have a yes or what it feels like to have a no. Now, of course, I would love you to do this with meditation, but of course, that's another. I always tell everyone that they should meditate at least 10 minutes a day, but it's not always somebody's cup of tea.
So that is a whole other topic, meditation, and there's so many different ways to do meditation.
It will enhance and help that, though, the intuition.
But don't mistake Lisa's kind of meditation of sitting and being perfectly quiet for the only way to meditate.
True.
So like if someone says the word meditate and you immediately shut down, don't do that, because meditation can be as simple as taking some breaths, some mindful breaths, where you're focusing on the way your body feels with each incoming breath and each outgoing breath. It's enough to relax your mind to find a meditative state.
Yeah, you're resetting yourself. Like you're rebooting the computer, you reboot your brain.
Yep. All right, so you just gave us an example of one way to develop our intuition. I am lucky enough that here in the shop, I almost on a daily basis have multiple practices with my intuition when it comes to helping customers.
Sure.
Not everybody has like that quite in their face. I do recognize it as a practice, though.
Sure.
But you can, like Lisa said, you could do the same thing when you're sitting down for food. It's no different. If the opportunity doesn't present itself, make an opportunity present itself.
Right. Now, in the book that I wrote, Spiritual Guidance, Trusting the Voice Within, I will hold it up for those that are on YouTube. We talk about, of course, your intuition, but it's also a vehicle to help you to connect to that dialogue to your higher self and to your spirit guide. But not everybody wants to do what I do and be a reader or a medium. But it does help people in so many ways as far as finding their calm in their life, being able to relax amongst things that are going chaotic in your life, to take a step back, to be able to focus on that intuitive feeling. What would be the answer in this case? So there are so many benefits to that. Now, the intuition is the beginning aspects of that connection. It's also the vehicle, if you will, to help you get to these different places that you go to. There's a common denominator, a common thing in energy work. It's our intuition and that platform of that quiet mind.
So I want to jump back to the development of, because there's one other way that came to my mind as far as learning how to develop your intuition, and that's going to classes or working with a spiritual mentor who can help guide you through that. So here at the Violet Butterfly, we have what we call psychic playgrounds. And Anna Victoria is the practitioner that facilitates that. And why I bring it up is because she brings in such a wide variation of topics to play with each time. It's about identifying where your strengths lie and exposing you to a lot of other areas where you're developing your pathway.
That's a great thing to bring up. And I think if I was talking to the members out there who are looking to start their intuition, I would say go with an open mind. That's, you need to start with that. Start with an open mind and find a practitioner that appeals to you. There's not a one size fits all.
Right.
There's things on, there's so much access now that they didn't have years ago. Violet Butterfly is one of them, and of course my sites and practices are another. And you're going to find a million, but you go with what works for you, and go with an open mind, and don't worry about the naysayers or the learned. I want to call them policies that you grew up with, to say maybe it wasn't a good thing to do, or maybe to say no, my way or the highway. Don't listen to that gut.
So we try to keep clear of religion when we have some of these discussions, but I'm going to bring it up because
Sure.
that's a potential block for your intuition. The fact that maybe it isn't supported within your religion, the dogma, the practices. So you do have to figure out whether it's a right thing for you to do.
Well, yeah, and that's a topic like politics, religion. You want to keep it vanilla, like the weather.
Yep.
But I personally do not practice the organized religion, because I think a lot of them are, in a way, that they're rules and controls and things that no longer are applicable in today's life. But I find if you sit down and you see what brings you joy or what makes you happy, it'll help to pull you in that right direction, which is another way of using your intuition.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. All right. What else do you have for us, Lisa?
Well, I can get futuristic with you.
Go for it.
So I was thinking about, in the 60s, they had a cartoon called The Jetsons. And in that cartoon, it was all futuristic stuff. And they had what appeared to be like FaceTime, which we didn't have back then. And they had cars that would fly in the air, or they would drive by themselves. And we didn't have that. But now we have these things. And I'm looking at the evolution of our electronics that they are today. And even like the use of a telephone from the time I was a kid, and you had dial up, and now you have the cell phones. And even when you first had the cell phone, or the portable phone, it used to be 12 inches long. Now they're very tiny. So thinking about the evolution of intuition and, Darwinism, as we evolve, and I have noticed that there are so many intuitive people in the world, and so many more people nowadays embracing and opening up to their intuition and their psychic ability. And I had the thought, well, what if in the future we start to communicate telepathically, similar to that of how the souls communicate to me? Because we are all beings. We are in this dimension, they're in that dimension, and that's how they connect with me. So who's to say that in the evolution of time, or the evolution of us opening ourselves up, that we don't connect that way? And would that, and I don't know the answer, would that be the differentiate between AI and us?
So I believe that there was a time in the development of humans where we did communicate telepathically, when it was more of a matriarchal society versus where we are now. So
how many times do people finish your sentences? Or does your husband know what you're saying?
We do all the time, and that, I think, speaks to the connection that we have with certain people, and it's a developed connection at some point,
right?
But the idea is that in the past, and it's like we're coming again, almost like into this big circle, that I think we're pretty close to being able to communicate that way.
Well, yeah, I'm all about it. But bring it on. It's, but it's all about, in my opinion, today, about practicing that intuition. Let's get the cables going.
Mhm.
Everybody connect in on a positive way, you
Mhm.
know, and maybe even that's a way that, you know, there's an avenue for healing to take place.
Mhm.
So
Sure.
anyway, just some conversations, some thoughts. You have anything else we want to add with that?
Nope.
Do you want to pull a card?
Sure. Let's pull some
I
cards.
have electronic app today because I didn't bring my cards, believe it or not. So,
Neither one of us did.
so I'm like, no.
So I do want to add like one thing that kind of falls into the idea of telepathy is there was one day I was driving home and a thought popped into my head that was related to my husband, and I knew I needed to do something, and I don't even remember what the something was at the time. Next thing I know, the phone is ringing, it's him, and he's asking me to do this thing.
So you were thinking about it at the same time.
Yes.
And how many times do you think about a person and then they call you?
Exactly. Like all the time, where you
Mhm.
pick up your phone to, I don't know, you just pick it up and then it rings and it's
Or
someone.
in my family, they would be in different states and go shopping and buy the same birthday card or buy this, you know,
Yes.
and how many are out there? Well, I had a health and healing card that came up, but I'll
Okay.
give this to you too, which is a nice card, and I'll accept it and take it. Let's see. Here, exit that reading. Just do this in beginning one.
All right. So let's see here. Fing. This is like this way they don't just fly out of the deck
Right.
like they do when I shuffle. Okay. So this card is Nurture Yourself. Mother Mary.
And the beautiful cards. So
Yeah.
nurture yourself, open your intuition, find that health and healing.
And I would say if there's anything that you can do when you're developing your intuition is try to really walk a path of faith with it and trust, and not do it the hard way with the big contrasts. That's the path that I in the past walked, and it's not fun.
I mean,
It's not fun.
but it doesn't feel good. But
No.
for whatever path you're on, by recognizing it, if you did take the path that was a little bit more of confrontation, recognize it for what it is and look at that as saying, okay, I was learning that if I had followed the other direction, it would have been better. So take note of how that felt, that other direction, the positive direction. And the next time that you do feel the same way, use it as a word in your language to say, okay, I'm going to look at you and explore you a little bit with faith. You know, take a breath, sit with it, sleep on it.
Yep.
You know, but notice how you feel along with it and start working with that intuition on your own. If you start there and eventually work with your spirit guide, you don't need any other teachers.
True. All right. So if you guys have any comments or questions, we'd love to hear from you in the comments, either on Facebook or YouTube or Podbean. I think they can do comments in Podbean.
I think so. I did have a problem on the YouTube, and I think I fixed it where they can now add comments. I think I had something that was clicked that I needed to unclick.
All right. So there you have it, folks.
Have a great day.
Thank you.